everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaching Call podcast. On this podcast, we'll cover various types of coaching by trainers in sports, martial arts, fitness, and business. We'll discuss each coach's methods to getting the most out of their respective athletes or clients and how they attempt to change the platform in which they coach. Join us on a fun adventure as we discuss unique coaching styles. Coaching is a universal part of how we get others to get something done. Join your host, Rafael, and his guests on this unique journey in coaching.
Hi, I'm Sifu Rafael, and this is the Coaching Call podcast. If you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. This episode was made possible by listeners like you.
Kenyatta, good morning. Thank you so much for being on Coaching Call. How are you?
Hi, Sifu. I'm wonderful. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You are wonderful. This is why I'm so happy we're here together today.
Thank you.
So you're coming all the way from Arizona.
I am. It's bright and early.
Early. Thank you so much for getting up for us.
Yes.
So the way I do this show, and I told you earlier, and anybody listening who's ever listened, I'm very curious. So I want to know about your childhood. I want to know how you got to who you are today, because you're a powerful, powerful woman, and I am just blessed to know you. So tell me, where were you born, and who would you say influenced you even before the age of 10?
So I am from Michigan, and from the East Coast, but I didn't spend a lot of time there. My mom moved us away when I was about 5, so I didn't grow up there. But when people ask me, especially in Arizona, where are you from? And I say, from Michigan. They're like, oh, well, how long you been here? And I'll say, since like maybe 4th grade or so, because we moved around a little bit before we settled here. They're like, oh, you're from here. I'm like, no, I'm not. I was not born here. That doesn't count. But Flint, Michigan, where you want to be wary of the water, places like that, unfortunately. But I was born there, and I was actually really grateful that my mom moved me away from Michigan, I quite honestly say, because she wanted warm weather and I grew up in warm weather. So I have an appreciation for warm weather. Michigan's a cold place, for me. But as far as influential before the age of 10, I mean, I would have to say definitely my parents, but I'm going to really say my sister, because she was my big sister. We spent a lot of time together as my parents kind of went their separate ways when I was really young. And I spent a lot of time with her just as we were getting, things figured out about who we were going to live with our families and things like that when my parents split when I was 3. So my sister, Isis, for sure, because she was probably the most consistent person, in my life at that age, during that time.
And what's the age difference between you and your sister?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. So, I won't reveal her age, but I'll absolutely share mine, because I got nothing to hide. And I'm very proud of the age that I've reached, because I didn't think I'd make it this far. But I'm 50. So, yes.
Well, congratulations. When you say you didn't think you'd make it that far, well, there's a story behind that.
There is.
Do we want to wait for that? We want to wait for that. We want to build it.
No, we might as well share it now, because the idea came up in my mind when I was 16. So it probably has a lot to do with where I am now and why I think the way that I do and move the way that I do. But my father passed away when I was 16. Sorry, and so he was 39 years old.
Wow,
very young. However, at the age of 16, when he passed, I thought 39 was old. Because my dad, he's an old dude, right? As a 16-year-old, 39 seems light years away. Like you can't even think about how grown up that is, right? And so I just really feel like when he passed, it seemed so far away that just how much my life changed in that moment, because I was living with him at the time and my sister was already out of the house. I just didn't think I would make it. Like, I just thought, it's still so far away. Something's probably going to happen. I just had these thoughts in my mind. So I set about my life, you know, trying to get whatever I could done in that time, because I didn't feel like I'd have that long. So when I got to the age 39, at that time, I'd had a 20 plus year career running colleges. Like, I was an executive at colleges. I had a phenomenal career. So all of a sudden I look up at 39, realizing how young he really truly was, because I felt at that stage, I had the whole life ahead of me. Like, I felt very young and full of whatever else was next. So it really gave me pause about how what he didn't get to do if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Asking myself similar questions like, what would he have done if he'd had more time? 39, that's it. That's it. You know, and so here I am going, well, what are you going to do if you get more time? Well, ultimately, 6 weeks after I had that revelation, I quit my job. I started a business. So, and that's what put me here today.
Well, so, yeah. Look at that. When we think about when we're young, right? Everybody's old. Everybody's old. And one of the things is, when I was a kid like you, I would look at people who were in 25s or 20s, and I would like, oh, that's a man, right? And as I started getting older, I never wanted to be called a man. I'm still a kid, right? I'm still, even today, when somebody goes,
yeah,
a man, I'm like, where? It's not me, that's over me, right? Because I'm a Toys R Us kid, I got to tell you, Kenyatta.
Right? I mean, for real. I say 50 with pride, in the sense that, and you know this, because we hear this all the time. People will say things like, you know, 50 years old, I'm old, you know, whatever. We have this idea of what it means to have these years. And again, I'm someone who, I lost my very, very best friend. No one has replaced this person as my best friend, by the way. Her name was Gina Lozano, when I was 24. 24. She was my age. And then my father at 39. Those ages are so completely young. So I even think about and I call them my extra innings. So every year past 39 for me is what I call my extra innings. It's time that I get that. Again, I put that line in the sand at 39, because that's, again, was the age my father passed. So I really thought seriously and deeply about that idea that if I get more time, I will not squander. It's a word I used at the time and I still use. I will not squander 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 year beyond the age of 39. Like, that was my vow to myself and to him. I'm not going to waste this if I got this, right? And what will I create that I don't know what he would have done, but I really had to think about what I will do. And so that, again, led me to leave my company. I've been working, you know, I've been in a career for 20 plus years, and jumped off a cliff and sprouted wings, I say, and ultimately started Freedom Empire Consulting. And now here I'm 50. And I believe that I have not squandered 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute. Like, I live by that mantra, which has caused me to do some of the things I've done and made some decisions, good or bad or whatever, you know, like doing what I feel like, you know, living my life that I don't have to take a vacation from. That's really important to me. And so 50 to me is a win, in that I could have been gone at 39. You know what I mean? Like, so I look at the addition of the years as just more opportunity to appreciate and be grateful for what I have and the time that I've been allowed in this body, in this form. So I'm good.
I love it. I love the word squander, because a lot of people, they do that day in, day out. And this is one of the biggest tools that they use it to do it with, right? And or watching television or Netflix or whatever you want to call it. And so many people don't understand the beauty of the gift that we've been given every single day. Every day is a gift.
Yeah.
And we are squandering it. We're throwing it on the side instead of opening that gift and exploring it and playing with it. And
being curious.
So tell me, Kenyatta, when you before 16, what was life like for you? What was it that intrigued you? What were your friendships, schooling? What was all that before your dad?
First, I
take
love.
you back, you know.
Yeah, I'm like, well, okay. So I was a sophomore when he passed. I was going to Cortez. I loved school. Let's say this. School was fun for me. When I know sometimes it's not for kids. I loved it. I loved learning. I loved reading. My sister taught me to read the newspaper when I was 3 years old. So I could read. So I was a reader, and I was consuming anything I could, getting books off my mom's bookshelf that I shouldn't be reading. And I shouldn't even know how to read, but I did. She didn't know that. I started reading Stephen King at 4th grade. Like, he's my favorite author. Like, a 4th grader shouldn't probably be reading that, but I was, and I could understand it. And so, understand in a sense of a 4th grader, but it was teaching me a lot of things about language and conversations and how people related to each other, and words I didn't understand, I would look up in the dictionary, and I love the power of how you can use words to convey something in a way that wouldn't necessarily be conventional. As an example, I'll give you a word. This is the kind of stuff I geeked out on. It's that, so the word defenestrate, this one stands out to me always because I was about the 4th grade when I learned this word. So why would a 4th grader even be using a word like defenestrate? Well, in a Stephen King book that I was reading, he said she defenestrated herself. Now, I, as a 4th grader, I remember very specifically going, she did what to herself? Like, what does that even mean? So I had to look it up. And it means to throw someone or something out of a window. So now here's what fascinated me about that, Sifu. He could have just said she threw herself out the window,
Right.
but he said she defenestrated herself. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. So for me, like, the fascination of like creativity and, thinking through things in such a way that, I don't know, just might fascinate yourself or someone else. That's always been who I was. So in school, that's what it was about for me. I loved art and music, and math is the only subject I didn't really like, quite honestly. Everything else I was into. Math was not my jam. Still isn't, by the way. But it was the idea that we could come together and have these conversations about things in an abstract form. Any chance to do that was what I wanted to do. So that was a really passionate passion about me was school. I didn't mind going at all. And even if I wasn't even always there, because sometimes I would ditch, because you just do, I still got like straight A's. Like, I was a good student because I enjoyed it. But another thing that before 16, I was introduced to that was fascinating to me is what my father did professionally. He was an engineer. So he went to like DeVry University and like was always working with electronics or sound engineering. He worked at the YWCA where he handled all the sound and all these things. And so I was like a latchkey kid. Like, I would go after school and go hang out with him at work, when I was working with him. And it was so much fun because I just got to push the buttons and, turn the knobs and wrap up the cords. And I was always so interested. He'd bring home computers, like big old bulky laptop computers the size of, my head. He would bring home, cool stuff, and he listened to records and, loved music and Star Trek. Like, that was my dad. So he got me into stuff like that. So him and I would geek out on just stuff, anything like that.
That's very cool, by the way.
And so between music and, electronics and computery gadget stuff, I really found a love for. And when I was with my mom, because it was a different scenario when living with her, because we didn't live together. So when I was with her, we were in California a lot. We would go to the beach. She would take us to the library. She was into fashion and things. So I just got introduced to, these very different worlds between the two of them. And I soaked it all up. And I think it led me to be a very curious, abstract thinker about things, but also very risky and focused on doing what it was that I wanted to do. It taught me to be very independent between those two scenarios. I was very independent child and still am.
And you're still a child.
Yeah, still a child. Yeah. So for real.
You and I both, right? Yeah, I still play my playpen every so often. When we think about the and you talked about the variety of your parents, right? The beauty that they carried within themselves, and they shared it with you and your sister. You're right. Your dad did go too young, and the fact that that number means so much to you, and you've gone past it, right? When you hit that number and you decided, wait a minute, I got a full life ahead of me. I'm going to take advantage of it. I love that idea. But even before that time, right, when you hit 39, you said that you were doing business, right, for universities. How did you get into that? Because you did love school, just like I love school. How did you get into that aspect of working for universities?
Yeah. So it's a funny story. So when I was in high school, I was my senior year, I was in a program called DC Diversified Cooperative Education. I think it was DCE, where if you had all your credits, was that, yeah. So by the senior year, I had enough credits to be in this program that allowed us to go to school the first half of the day, and then we had to have a job the second half of the day. And in the class, we learned things like typing and dictaphone and, businessy kind of things. But the teacher gave us a list of companies that were agreeing to hire us, if we qualified, for this program to have just a few hours a day. And she handed me the list, and I found a company in there called Hot Topic. Hot Topic was the first Hot Topic in Arizona at the time, actually, at the mall. So I go work at Hot Topic, and I'm there for only 3 weeks. I unpacked the store. Like, that's what I came in, unpacked it, got it set up. This brand new store in Metro Center Mall. It was really cool. And 3 weeks later, I got fired. Okay. My first job. Okay. I get fired. And the guy tells me, he's like, we're gonna have to let you go. And I'm like, what do you mean let me go? He goes, well, it's just not working out. I'm like, well, what is it that is not working out? And he goes, well, you spend too much time talking to the customers. And I'm like, well, I thought I'm supposed to talk to them and like get them to buy more stuff. I thought that was what I was doing. I'm like, aren't I getting them to buy more stuff? And he goes, well, yeah. And he goes, well, you're supposed to make sure they're not stealing things. And I go, are they stealing things? He's like, well, no. And I was like, well, what? And then I said some smart mouth thing. I don't remember exactly what the smart mouth thing was, but I remember it was in such a way where I definitely got fired. Like, it was, because in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm talking to the customers. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm preventing theft. That's what I'm supposed to do. What's your problem? And yeah, so I didn't talk him into keeping me, put it that way. So I go home and I am devastated. I am bawling my eyes out to my mom. Like, I can't believe I got fired from I didn't know what to do. I've been fired from this job. And she says to me, she goes, so what are you crying for? And I'm just like, I don't know. I got fired. I don't, And she goes, no, there's nothing wrong with this. But she goes, I'm just curious. She goes, do you plan on working retail in a mall the rest of your life? This is what she asked me. Now, I hadn't thought about that one way or the other. I didn't know. But the fact that she was asking me the question had me pause. And I'm like, no. Right. And she goes, and what are you crying for? He probably did you a favor. Like, he probably just like did you a favor. You probably won't go back to retail. And I was like, oh, facts. You know what I mean? Perspective. So that led me to find like a more business type job, right? Like, I went to work at this insurance company. I got the temp agency. They sent me to an insurance company for a minute, and then they sent me to DeVry University. At 18 years old, I started working at the school that my dad had gone to school at. He graduated from DeVry. So the same exact campus, right? So I happened to start working at the place where my dad had been, and I was just filing papers in the admissions office, like a file clerk for $6.25 an hour. And 13 years later, I was still there. So that's how I got into working in colleges. Literally, it's because I got fired from Hot Topic. That's how I think about it. Because I wasn't thinking I was going to grow up and be a college, executive administrator like that. That wasn't a dream job for me. I didn't even realize most people don't even know that there's jobs at a school other than teaching.
Right.
For 20 years, anytime Sifu, I told someone, oh, I work at a college, they would go, what do you teach? And I would say, nothing. And they would go, well, what do you do? And I would say, do you know that there are other jobs at a college than teaching? And people would be like what? And I'm like, everything else. So anyway, that's how I started working. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with working at a school. I worked at every department except for financial aid. I ran departments. I did wind up teaching. I taught career development. You couldn't graduate without passing my class. I loved, and I know this where it comes from too, because these early years inform your behavioral superpowers, I call them, right? And it's like, I love that I got to learn so much about all these other industries that weren't mine. So at DeVry, there's lots of different programs, right? Computer information systems, engineering, graphic design, animation, and I had to know a little bit about every single one of those programs and the people who chose those careers. And then when I worked at the Art Institute of Phoenix, it was culinary. It was video photography or video. It was design, fashion. I worked at allied healthcare schools, phlebotomy and medical assisting and dentistry and veterinary vet techs. So I got to know about all these other things that people wanted to do to grow their lives. And they would come in with these bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, like, I'm going to get a college degree. And then literally, historically, nationally, only 46% of people even graduate from college. So imagine the arc that they go through, right? I saw leadership and development and growth happen in all these cycles all the time of people working to find their way and what they wanted to do. And I just wanted to create an environment that allowed them the tools and resources. Now they had to do whatever they were going to do with them, but I felt like it was a place I really fell in love with because I got to help architect the environments that gave people an opportunity. And I loved it. Never thought I'd work 20 plus years in education. I did not see that coming. But I absolutely fell in love with it from the beginning.
I love, Kenyatta, the way that you were able to see the process. So many people, and I'm sure colleagues of yours probably didn't even see the process that you saw because you were wide-eyed, if you will, and you were looking at what people are going through. You know that not everybody's going to go through it because everybody has ambition, everybody has desire, but follow through is what lacks in our culture, if you will, right? For a lot of people. I deal with so many people who, yes, I want this and so badly. And then 3 months later, 6 months later, how's it going? Oh,
Right.
Like, no, I don't know, but please tell me, because when you tell me I know, I should know, right? So in other words, when they say, what they're saying to me is, I'm a slacker. I didn't do it. I didn't follow through. I gave up on my dream because it was too hard.
Sometimes
did you find hard. A lot of people gave up because of the...
I found a lot of that in hindsight, right? And I think this is really important to state is that, yes, a lot of times it's too hard and which is why they don't make it. However, what I always suspected and didn't always have a way to prove, I guess, is that oftentimes it was hard because it was out of alignment. It wasn't necessarily what program they should have been in the first place. It wasn't, they weren't actually invested in it emotionally, spiritually, whatever it is it takes to where they would go through the brick wall that was required to get it. So oftentimes, and it's very unfortunate, and working in admissions specifically, I saw this all the time. I ran admissions for, hey, Latoya, I ran admissions for 6 years. Okay. So I don't even know how many people came in to that office, into that process, already trying to get into the wrong program, or they had someone sitting next to them in the chair that was like, you're signing up for this program. Right. And so they would start off too often on the wrong foot. So they didn't have the clarity coming into it. So it became hard. Obviously, it will become hard. Now that's one way that I just saw that happening. And that's a harder thing for people to address and speak about. Because once they're in it, everyone wants to make the assumption that they were in the right place anyway. So the fact that they didn't do it is just their fault. And yeah, we could say that, sure. But I was always like, well, why? Like, why is this not right for you? Why did you think it was? And what are you finding about it that isn't? And because people, the other half do graduate, right? So what is it? And again, a lot of times I find that it's just a lack of clarity and alignment in the first place. And without that, it's very easy to flounder, because as soon as it starts getting squirrely and you're not fully invested in the first place, well, it's easy to back out. You don't have anything to lose really at that point. So
unfortunately, a lot of the schools just take people based on the academics, but not on what is it that they really want, or they don't really do an assessment. Is this the real career you want to do? And I know they try to do that in high school, but I don't think they do
no. All the colleges that I worked at, that was, again, in admissions, that was something that there's a practice to it. There's a discovery process to it. What I know now tells me what all the gaps were then, but that's all we had then, right? And also there was a time where people were literally enrolling people in colleges who should not be in these programs, and because it was set up as a sales process. I'll be the first to tell you, I know I was, and it's interesting. The time that I started, let me say, this is, okay, those of you listening, I'm going to share something with you. This was profound to me in this way, right? I worked in education for about 15 years before I got into admissions. Okay. So I knew every other department. I knew the process from beginning to end, but I never worked in the admissions office as a director. I'd only just filed papers when I was, a kid. So then I got out of admissions, worked in all these other places, and then went back and became a director of admissions. And considering graduation rates and placement rates, right? Us actually being able to help students get gainful employment in the places where they were working is a big deal. But the process of doing it was going through a change right around the time I came into admissions. I literally started as a director at the time when it was really a sales job, and you got compensated based on the number of students who enrolled, not how many graduated, but how many enrolled. So imagine the thought process there, right? In that type of environment. As soon as I came in, the laws changed and all the GOP, all these things started happening, and they took that away. So I never got paid that way. It literally changed almost immediately, which wasn't a big deal to me anyway, because I'd already spent 15 years in all the other departments. I wasn't an admissions rep. I came in, I'd never been an admissions rep. I literally got hired as a director of admissions without ever having been an admissions rep, because it wasn't just about sales, it was about leadership. And that's what that department needed, not a sales manager, a leader to help people see what they did in a different light. And I say this because of this. When I came into that department, this was Art Institute of Phoenix, I know for a fact that admissions reps never got to go to graduation. We have graduation 3 times a year in the college cycles, right? Like in at least for-profit schools. And admissions reps were never allowed to go to graduation because they had to be on the floor making phone calls. Now, as soon as I got as a director, that's the first thing I changed. And I got pushed back all up and down the street about that. You do not take admissions reps off the floor to have them go to graduation. And I always held firm. I was like, no. How on earth do you expect them to do the best job they possibly can, helping people get clarity around what programs they should be going into if they never see the end product. They have no clue what that arc really looks like. So when you're sitting across from someone trying to help them make a decision about the rest of their life, you need to have some clarity around what that process looks like on the other end. And it was never done. And I changed that 100%. Like, I was like, I'm not doing it if they can't go. You all better figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And it changed everything for us in our office and how we thought about it, how we helped people, how we served. And to me, that was just kind of the theme, right? Is like, we have a responsibility here with the tools and resources we have. How do we help teach, coach, and train people to be the best they possibly can for themselves in order for them to help the people they're here to serve? And I took that very seriously. So anyway, that's my story about that.
I love it because it goes to show the servant leader that you are, right? And to understand the process of what somebody's going through, and then to be there to celebrate with them.
Yes.
That big win, that's huge. That's huge. Meanwhile, the person that got you there, they're absent, and you're like, oh, they really didn't care about me, did they?
Yeah, they could feel they're not allowed to come and celebrate with us. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. So yeah, that was we became one of the best campuses in the school after that, right? Like, without the sales goals, without that carrot, if you will, right? We were able to have real conversations with people, and from a different place. It changes things. It really does. It changes things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to tell you that. Thank you for sharing that one, because it is leadership right there, right? Because and we have a lot of coaches that watch my shows and so forth. But if you're not there to help, not only along the way, but to celebrate the wins of every one of your clients, then you're missing the boat. You're missing the real reason why you're a coach, because you're taking them from point A to point B. But if you're not present at point B, they don't need you to begin with. If they only need you to at point A, then they should have fired you at point A. Goodbye.
Yes. Yes.
Before we go on, let me share this with you. Take a look.
You followed the rules, tried the restrictions, counted the carbs, the steps, and the failures. You're not lazy, you're exhausted from doing it all without real change. What if the problem isn't you, but the plan? Sifu's Mind-Body Method is a 90-day transformation built on 7 unshakable pillars: mindset, movement, nutrition, hydration, fasting, journaling, and faith. This isn't another shortcut. It's your structure, your strength, your reset. You don't need harder, you need better. Ready to begin? Start today.
So with my program, Sifu's Mind-Body Method, one of the things that I ask everybody when they first get into the program, and you kind of said it, at 16, you thought you would live to be 39. And so that's a question that I ask everybody coming into the program. When do you think how old will you be when you take your last breath? And it really hits somebody hard when I ask that question, because obviously you've changed your mind on 39.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't realize that every action that we take today will lead out tomorrow. So the program that I run is based on legacy. What are we leaving? What are we doing today so that we can live longer, so that we can live healthier? What are the steps that you personally have taken once you realize, wait a minute, I'm 39. I can do anything. It's already outlived my life. Now this is I have a new ticket, a new golden ticket, if you will,
Yeah.
right? So what is it that inspires you, besides knowing that you are doing maybe what your dad could have done, how far he could have gone, and what inspires you every day to continue to go? What is your next goal? Because I believe that we all have different stages in our lives, that you're in the stage now, but will you be in that stage 30 years from now?
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
where are you going, young lady?
So I'm going to start by answering the question at the age of 39 and what changed, then where I am now. Okay. So when I had this revelation about I'm 39 now, I don't want to squander 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute beyond the age of 39. I realized that I needed to get out of that industry. I'd already been in it for 20 plus years. Right. So what would the next chapter of my life really look like? Because I felt like I could be there another 20 if I wasn't careful. Right. I was ready to actually be a campus president. I probably was months out, or a couple years out, whatever, from just getting to a point where I had my own campus. I thought that's what I wanted. Okay. I had a computer information systems degree. So I have a CIS degree from DeVry. I've got a master's degree from University of Phoenix. I was getting my doctorate in educational leadership. And I realized that I didn't think I was going to be doing that the next 20 years. So I wasn't going to do none of that. And I knew I better get out, right? Before they offered me more money and did all the things to make me work another 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I'm like, I got to get out of here. Right. What charity going to throw at my head next? I was good at what I did. No one wanted me to go. Right. And I loved what I did until I got the idea in my head that there was more for me. Then I couldn't even be there anymore because I was itchy and like, I got to get out. I got to get out. Called my mother. That's where my mother comes into the story. Very importantly, she comes in. Why? Because I call her on my way home, driving home, bawling my eyes out. Here I am crying again. Call my mom. Right. Call my mom because I feel like I need to quit my job. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what is going to happen if I do that. I wanted to start a business. I wanted to build an empire. That's what came into my mind. I'm like, I want to build an empire. I don't know what that is, but I want one, and I want to live past the age of 39. So I called her up and I said, Mom, I think on my 39th birthday, I think I'm going to quit my job. She's like, I go, I think I'm going to start a business, quit my job, and I'm crying. And she's like, pull over. Why are you crying? And I'm like, because this is crazy. And she said to me, it's about time. And I was like, what? What? I got this good paying job, whatever. I mean, what are you talking about? Quit my job. Seriously. She's like, it's about time. She's like, I know who my daughter is. I know what you're built to do. And I know you're built for more than that. It was just a matter of time before you figured it out. And she goes, so quit. And I was like, that's not the answer I was expecting. But I did, so, I mean, I quit my job, 6 weeks later, I was gone. Anyway, I started a business, right? So, fast track, and I didn't know what I started with Legal Shield. That was the first business I started. I'm still with Legal Shield. 11 years later, I am a Legal Shield associate. I love, love, love Legal Shield for life. Thousands of clients, like something I still do. But that's the first thing I started. But from that, I learned about personal development. I learned about networking events. I learned about growth from a mindset that it takes to have your own business in a space like that. Like I worked with companies. I have employee accounts, things like that. I understood corporate. I knew the need. It just made sense. But I also learned that I was a speaker and a coach and a trainer. I always had been in colleges. But I was just doing my job.
Right.
What I thought was just my job. It turned out those same exact things about me on the outside meant that I could do that for myself. And I could help people in the way with autonomy, in a way that my architect my own IP of what it was that I wanted to help and share with people, and that people would pay me for it. Right. And I there's results. It was almost too easy because I was already wired for it. I just didn't know how to do it on my own. So started the business, did all the things, right? And then still growing, right? The business. But to get to the point of where I am now, last year when I turned 50, changed everything. Turned 50 in April. Lots of things happened last year. And one of the most profound moments was when my mom passed away, October 24th. So that was just last year.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Just a couple months. I mean, it seems like so long, but man, it's been such a short amount of time. And what that whole scenario taught me, probably the last 6 months, really ish, of her getting sick and just all the things that occurred during that time. How I describe it, it wound up ending one season of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now in what I call season 2. And season 2 is very different than season 1.
For sure.
And I acknowledge it for what it is. I feel it. I know it. I'm leaning into it. And it's definitive for me. And for everyone that I'll cross paths with going forward. So season 1 had lots going on, you know, a lot of things, started the business, all this. I'm a musician, by the way. So let me add that. As far as creativity.
We're gonna get to that because
so a lot happens, right? Like in my life, and I started playing music very young. I started singing around 24 or started playing bass at 24. So, you know, a lot, you know, that was always part of me. That never even at DeVry, my bands played at DeVry. Like, it's crazy, you know, so that was always a part of it, right? Always, always, always. Music, technology, creativity, leadership, growth, development, education. That's Kenyatta, right? All mashed up into one thing, right? There is no separation for me. But season 2 is different. I feel it. My mom being gone, she was a legend. She's legendary. You mentioned legend, like what is the legacy? I know the mark that my mother has left on me and her entire community, quite honestly, that I feel the responsibility and the weight of that. I honestly do. I already had applied it myself to myself on my own, right? But with her passing, things shifted. And again, think about it. My dad died at 39, and that I made a very clear decision at the time that he passed, right? The day he died, I made my sister take me to school to take a math test because I didn't want to fail math, because I didn't want to graduate late, because I had things to do. And everyone's like, no, you need to take time to grieve your dad. I'm like, I had a math test today. Like, that was my mind and how I thought about things. But they took me to take my test, right? It was a moment in time that I knew things needed to change, and I was not afraid of what that change was going to be. And then when I quit my job at 39, I was not afraid. I was more afraid of staying than I was leaving. And now that my mom has passed at this age of 50, for me, she was 73, still too young.
Very
young. So now this season 2, untethered, I call it. Because with my mom gone and my dad gone, I kind of feel that way. This sense of being untethered. I can't describe it, but that's the word that seems to make sense when I think about it. That's a different space for me. I've experienced things emotionally in the past few months that I didn't even understand I was capable of. But what was born out of me, the pressure that I was under, my sister, both of us, the things that had to happen, I've done my best to be the student of that as well and lean into what that now means for me. And I realized one season had ended and another one had begun. And that's where I'm at. Season 2. Welcome.
I love the untethered, which also says freedom, right? And you have Freedom Empire Consulting. And I got to tell you, wow. And when I know we spoke about your mom at a different time, and how her community came in, you know, kind of spoke to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that she gave you advice at your most important times, and she said, what are you waiting for? Right? You got this, right? I've just been waiting for you to realize it yourself. So, you know, we both know that she's in a better place, and she left you in a better place because she gave you another opening, another, hey, it's time that you step out of everything that you've been doing, right?
Yeah.
For you to realize that you're not who you were yesterday. At all, right?
No.
Let's get into music, man, because I got to tell you, I would love to hear you play, to be honest, right? And sing. But so what, because you said earlier, you used to jam with your dad. You used to put the music on and you guys chill and the electronics and the computers and all this stuff. So you felt it. But when did you pick up your first instrument?
24. Yeah, I was 24.
Not a youngster.
Yeah. And I wasn't in band or anything like that in high school. And
I played the recorder when I was a kid.
Right. I did play the recorder, right? And it's interesting to me when I go back, I think, oh man, why didn't you pay more attention to band? Like that would have made sense. But for whatever reason, I didn't, right? So never was in band. I sang in my first band when I was 17. I came in and just sang one song with band asked me to sing a song, and I did that. And then when I was 24, me and my ex-husband at the time, we started a band. And literally, it was just a matter of like, we sit on the couch and he says, we should start a band. And I said, do you play an instrument? I've never seen him play anything. And he's like, no. And I'm like, well, neither do I, And I said, well, I'm going to play the bass. And he's like, I'm going to play the guitar. So literally we went and bought instruments, right? And started teaching ourselves how to play music. So that's how it started.
Wow.
Now, all my friends were in bands. Like I was always going to watch live music. So I was always around it. So it seemed like a natural thing. Yeah, let's start a band like everybody else is in a band. Right. And so we ultimately did. And that's when I learned to sing and play the bass at the same time. So that was about 24. And I was in that band for about 5 years. And then I started another band after that for like another 5 years. I don't even know. Like I just always was in bands, playing bass primarily. And so bass and singing, I fronted bands. That was my thing. And then there was, I don't know. Maybe,
Let me ask you before you go on, why did you pick bass?
Literally, this is what I said. I'm like, there's less strings than a guitar. And it just sounds cooler. Like that was my rationale. I'm like, there's less strings. Yeah, I'm like, there's less strings. It's probably easier to learn. You learn the one with the 6 strings. I'll learn the one with the 4 strings. And it just sounds cool, And that's as easy as the decision was. So,
okay.
And I fell in love with it. Nope. It was bass. It was, I just already had something about it that the rhythm. I don't know. It just came very easy. Not easy, but it was natural for me. It felt good to play it. And so, just played in many bands over the years, playing bass. And then, what year was it? Maybe 3 years ago or so. Oh, then I wasn't in bands for a long time. I had maybe 6 or 7 years where I wasn't playing actively in bands. For fun, I would play, but I wasn't, active in it. And I really missed it, quite honestly. But during that time, I was a skateboarder and a snowboarder. And I say was, meaning I still am, but I was skateboarding a couple of years ago in Flagstaff, and I ruptured my Achilles tendon. I was just not even just pushing on the board, not even doing nothing crazy. All of a sudden, boom, fell. And my tendon just exploded. And so I had to have a surgery, and I was in a cast. And when I got out of the cast, I was going to physical therapy, and they were having me do all kinds of things to get my foot working again. And it occurred to me that I thought I wanted to play the drums, because I was still going to see live music all the time. I mean, I'm a musician. Like I'm always supporting my friends, and I love music. And I'm watching drummers, and I'm like, how come I don't play the drums? I should do that. And then I realized that I wanted to play and that my foot couldn't work the kick pedal, not well. And it hurt every time I tried. And so I went to physical therapy, and I said, hey, it hurts when I try to work the kick pedal. When I come to physical therapy, you do make me do things that hurt, like pick up marbles with my toes and put them in a bucket. And so if I play kick drum, is that going to help me heal my ankle? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. And so that's all I needed to know. So then I used the act of playing drums to help heal my ankle while I was teaching myself to play the drums. And I realized I was in love with the drums. And so that then became my second instrument. And then I went to a rock and roll camp and I played drums with, I'm about to drop some names right now. Like me as a brand new drummer, only playing for like a year, got an opportunity to play on stage with Lita Ford, Nancy Wilson from Heart, Sheila E. Nita Strauss, who plays guitar for like Alice Cooper and a bunch of people. My bass player in the band was Eva Gardner. She's the bass player for Pink and Gwen Stefani. Rhonda Smith, who played bass with Jeff Beck and Prince. Like these are the people I got to play music with as a drummer over a week in Hollywood. And that was the defining week of my life where I realized, oh girl, you're a drummer. So then I taught drums at my Girls Rock board. I'm on a board for an organization called Girls Rock Phoenix. We teach young women how to play music and form a band and all this. I've taught drums to them. And so again, it's such a part of my life that I will always incorporate music into my life and whatever I do. And now I'm vinyl DJ. Now I DJ music as well. So I'm just having a blast.
I got to tell you, and for anybody who either catches this later or is watching us live, I don't know if you really heard the deeper message that music is healing, right? Yes. Music is so healing because not only does it touch your soul, but it helped heal Kenyatta's foot.
Yes. Yeah, right? Help heal my foot, help heal my heart, all the things. And I'll have to say this too, over this past few months, like I mentioned, I know, and I'm very deep understanding of what music and frequencies and energy do for me to help me heal, right? In this time, I'm in a moment of grief as we speak. I'm still navigating the ups and downs and ins and outs of some days are different than others. Some minutes is like literally in the moment. I believe in the power of the moment and what it is that you can do in this moment and the feeling that I'm after. And I can't always control that because things will sneak up on me, but I know I do the work to try to keep myself in a mental space of joy.
Yeah.
And that has it looks different at different times, but music for me, either if I'm making it by myself, it's like the intro to choice. Hey, Toya, if either I'm making it by myself, because I have a drum kit sitting right here next to me and I have my bass, and I play often by myself, but it's therapy. I'll get up from this desk and I need a break from all of this. And I go and I sit and I play drums. It's hypnotic. There's nothing like it. But then when you come together with other people, that is a mastermind. That is a level of frequency and energy connection that if you don't do it, you can't describe it, but if you know it, when you know it, there's a power there that is also healing and therapeutic. And I literally think it's the thing that drives humanity is the rhythm of life, the heartbeat, and how that can like translate into all different kinds of things that if you learn to immerse yourself in it, it can be very helpful. It can be very, very helpful to help you get through things that are happening. So that's my therapy. I make time for that. If I didn't, I don't know where I would be. I don't know,
Yeah.
So
music is my soul. I got to tell you, the other day, my fiance took me to see the Elvis Presley movie, the one that just came out. Oh my goodness. And one of the things that my fiance said afterwards, her name is Melanie, she says, Elvis was beyond amazing. I said, yeah, but did you listen to the music? Besides, the guy is phenomenal, right? Or was phenomenal. But did you listen to the music that was being played? And did you see how everybody in the band was like, they were going with it. They were feeling it. But the other thing is, when he would go off, some of the band members would be in amazement at what he was able to do. And you can see it in the faces. And they were like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was so beautiful, because you're right. It is a mastermind, right? Because you're all thinking, you're all creating, you're making something that was never there before.
Right.
And that's the beauty of this. Is why I love masterminds. Let me share one more video with you, if you don't.
Sure.
The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event. It's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds. A movement of momentum. Sifu Rafael, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC experience mastermind, where purpose is found.
And we're talking about masterminds. We're having one this coming week.
Yeah.
Right, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So when you consider, and you're doing things on your own, where you're bringing people together, you're doing a collective. And I love that you're doing that, right? And I said to you one day, I'm going to be out in Arizona by you.
Yes.
Do things together as well. What is it about a mastermind, a well-run mastermind, that could inspire each one of us to consider attending or joining? Or because when we watch from the sidelines, we never know the depth of what a mastermind can actually give us, right?
Yeah.
So would you mind sharing?
Yeah, none of us is as smart as all of us, first. So you bring people together, and you give an opportunity for a connection in a way where more ideas and thoughts can spark from conversation, from being even in proximity. At the end, Napoleon Hill describes it as, just one battery, but if you put more batteries together, it's more powerful. It's about the idea, I believe, that it's energy, right? So we're projecting, we're broadcasting our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our frequencies out, right? And someone else is picking it up. We're broadcasting stations and we're receiving stations. So when we come together with a sense of intentionality to either form a band or work on a business or, plant a garden, right? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter the thing you're doing. What matters is that you've decided to include others in that process, right? And for some sort of harmonious thing. And now harmony doesn't necessarily mean good, right? Just because things are in alignment don't mean they're good. People come together to mastermind for things that are bad and nefarious, right? So it's really just about the decision of coming together to explore something. And I think that decision starts giving the universe what it needs to conspire for your good, to create what it is that you're putting out there. And so they can come in lots of different forms. And I think that's the thing that sometimes I think people forget, that the word doesn't necessarily always mean business. It doesn't always, it just really means people coming together for a shared purpose. And what is that? Well, that's for them to decide. And that's why I will liken it to music often, because I've been in many bands. To me, they are masterminds. And so, and I treat them as such. And I'm in a new one right now with my sister. I have to just put that little plug in there. We're in an all-girl punk band.
Tell me about that. You're in with your sister. What does she play?
She's a vocalist. She has a voice of liquid gold. Always has. So she's always been in her bands. I've always been in my bands. And we've now come together in one band where I'm playing bass. She's the vocalist, and we've got sax and drums and guitar. We're all female. We're not done yet building the band as well, so more to come. But I'm just dropping that little Easter egg there.
So obviously, you're going to let us know when you're playing,
Sure.
and for anybody to reach out. I'll post anything that you share with me because I want to be there, right? So, Kenyatta, it's been some time that you and I have known each other, but we finally said, let's really connect again. And I'm so happy that we did that, right?
Me too. Yeah.
Because I think that a connection is only as grand as you make it. And you and I connecting, I think we can make it a grand connection and continue to build on it. Because if we don't continue, if we just say, okay, thanks for the show, and I don't talk to you ever again, that would be horrible for me anyway, right? And I love the energy you bring, I'm going to say the perspective that you make us all think. Every time you say something, it really makes me think. So thank you for being you. And before we wrap this up, I just want somebody to know why they need to. I know why I need to connect with you, but your website is going across. Tell us a little bit about your website. You have about a minute to give us about your website. Why somebody should go there? What can they expect?
Absolutely. The easiest thing to do, if you go to my website, you want to talk more about behavioral intelligence, because that's really what I focus on in my business. I have what I call a behavioral superpowers universe. One of the things I wish I'd had access to, go to my website and book a discovery call. That's what I was going to say. You can go there. It's easy. Just book a discovery call with me if you want to learn more about what I do and how I might be able to serve you. But if you're someone who's interested in behavioral intelligence and understanding what you do, but also why you do it using objective scientific data, because remember, I geek out on that stuff, right? That's what I do. I absolutely have a tool and an assessment process that every single one of my clients goes through to find out what their behavioral superpowers are, I call them. And you add that's the thing that I would have used working in colleges. That's the thing that I would have used in admissions. That's the thing I would have used for roommate matching and financial education and learning how people are wired, their default, but also what I call their behavioral SWOT analysis is, right? What are their behavioral strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? That's what I do with my clients to really help them understand their default baseline. And then they add upon that with whatever coaching or methodologies they need. We start at the core and then add to that. And so when you go to my website, you can see a little bit about what I do, the kind of companies I work with. I work with organizations all over the world, quite honestly. And I work with individuals on behavioral intelligence. So you really understand how you're wired so that you know where you're starting from. You're aware of your powers and your kryptonite and how you behave under pressure. Under pressure.
Yes, that's the important part one.
That's the key.
Yeah. For those of you who are going to listen to this, book a call with Kenyatta. Here's the thing, right? For those of you who are listening to it on the audio, you have to go to freedomempireconsulting.com. Let me repeat that. freedomempireconsulting.com. And I got to tell you, Kenyatta, what an honor to have you on my show and for you to come and share your story. And thank you so much once again for being here with us. Now, we are going to say goodbye. It looks like you may have frozen for a little bit, but not frozen entirely, right? So go for it.
Okay. Am I still here? Can you hear me?
You are. Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I think I was just going to say thank you so much, Sifu, for having me here. And one thing I didn't mention just real quick, I have a little bit of martial arts training. We didn't even talk about that in the conversation. That's for another day.
Kenyatta, we have to do many shows together, right? Being that I do happen to have 10 of them, I'm going to want you in all of them. We'll take another minute or two. What martial arts training did you have?
So it started with Tai Chi, and then I learned a little bit of he would teach a little bit of everything. Started with Tai Chi, little bagua, little bow staff, maybe my own custom bow staff. We did a little bit of that. Kung Fu, so it was basically different modalities, whatever we go to class, and whatever he wanted to teach us that day is what we would do. But it was all in the space of Kung Fu and Wushu. So basically that's what we learned. And it was phenomenal. I loved it. I need to get back into it. It was a lot of fun.
I teach Tai Chi as well. I do it privately and so forth. And I've been doing, martial arts for a very short while, just about 50 years only. And I'm still a white belt. One day I'll move up, but always an avid learner. So how long did you train for?
Maybe two years, about 2 years. And I was I was in my early 30s, I think. And I can't remember why I stopped. I think maybe the classes changed, something stopped, but I really enjoyed it. We would go like once a week to our Sifu's house, and he did classes in his backyard and at different colleges and stuff as well. He would do colleges, but he did private classes, in his yard. I remember some days we would go and we would literally kick all the way from one side of the yard to the other side of the yard all night. And, and I'll end with this. One thing that he did that I really appreciated is we would start every class. We would sit in a circle and we would stretch. But while we were stretching, he would read to us from various books about whatever it was that he wanted to share that day. And it was like story time before we started training. And I love the story time. I mean, I love the stories that were told and the concepts in the stories. I think I learned more from that about what Wushu was from that perspective than the act of actually doing it. And I'll never forget that. The lessons that he taught us through those stories were almost the most important part. That's how I feel about it. And I carry some of those concepts and lessons with me to this day. So that was really powerful for me.
I think you had a very powerful Sifu. So what I'm going to encourage you is that to go back, and if you need to wait till I come and open up a school by you, then we'll make that happen one day, because that's my goal, right? I want to keep my location in New York, but Arizona is one of the places that I am looking to eventually go to and create a second home. So thank you, and definitely everybody reach out, book a discovery call, freedomempireconsulting.com. And do me a favor, everybody. Somebody else needs to listen to the messages that will deliver to you today. Share is caring, right? So do it. And thank you, Kenyatta. Stay on for a minute, everybody. God bless. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody. Take care.